Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm getting set up here. I know the sun's at the side of my face. The sun's going down over there, but how y'all doing this afternoon? I see some people. Somebody's already here. Fantastic. So let me know. Is the lighting terrible? How am I doing? How am I looking? So, what's on your mind, everybody? What's your scent of the day? What are you wearing? How you doing? For me, it's been a really interesting week last night. I didn't get very good sleep, so if I look kind of out of place, last night was not a good night, but I'm doing pretty good today. Hey there, Ronald. How you doing? What's your scent of the day, man? What you up to? I uh I wore a bunch of Air Ridge oils today. I don't know if y'all know about the brand called Air Ridge. They actually surprised me and sent me, I think it was called like Halfet or something like that, and one was called Black Oud, and they all have lots of incense and resins, and I made a post about it on Instagram. So, scent of the day is Halloween Man by Jesus de Palazzo. Palazzo? Pazzo? Anyways, Halloween Man's really good. Lots of people talk about that Halloween Man. I think it's X, and I think there's also a shot version, and they're supposed to be pretty good, cheap, like more affordable fragrances. Like I guess you'd call them cheapies. If it's $30, and for me, $30 or less is kind of cheapy territory. For some people, it's $20 or less. For some people, they want $10 fragrances, and more power to them. And it's funny how we all see. There's some people out there actually who see if a fragrance is less than $100 as a cheapie, and I am definitely not there finance wise. I wish I was. Hey Dean, how you doing? How's the life? How's the world? What's your scent of the day? And Darren in the house. Peace, my friend. So, besides just hanging out and talking about anything and everything, I wanted to open up one of the big old discussions that everybody likes to have in the fragrance community. It's about cheapies, not really designers versus niche, but cheapies versus niche. And what do you prefer? Let me know. What do you like? What do you prefer? Going for cheapies more than niche, or do you like niche more than cheapies? If we're talking about designers, which again, this is focused on the cheapies, I tend to prefer more of the niche. But honestly, when I wear more designers than I do niche. Even though I'm more interested in the niche, what I tend to reach for, what I tend to actually wear, is designer fragrances most of the time. So that's a really interesting thing. Hey there, Anthony. How are you doing? You say your scent of the day is Percival. I think I prefer Sedley personally, but people around me seem to appreciate Percival more. I don't think I've tried those. I might have tried Percival. I think I've tried that one, but I don't think I've tried Sedley. I think Sedley's the newer one. Parfums de Marly's. Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting to see. Do they like? What are they? Have they told you what they like about the Percival? Do you know why they like it a little bit more? Is it more woody in the dry down? Is it more fresh in the opening? Or that's interesting. Best Virgin Island water clone. Central Obsessions, Babylon, Dua Alexandria, etc. That's a really interesting thought, and I kind of have to make I think, an apology here as well. My favorite so far is probably Alexandria's Hawaii volcano. I think I got one, and it's I guess it's partially my fault. I got one I think that was mislabeled because I recently got another decant of Hawaii volcano intense, and it is very lime focused. It's a lot fresher and it's a lot more citrus heavy. And the one I got was a lot more coconut focused. It was a lot more sweet. It was more rich. It was more dense. So I think from Alexandria, I got one that was mixed up with the label. So I think that the regular Hawaii volcano is the better way to go. If you really like something really citrusy and you don't care about longevity, the Hawaii volcano intense might be a good way to go. Um, I forget if Babylon has a Virgin Island water one. Central Obsessions, I'm sure they do. I have tried it. I thought it was all right. I wasn't excited about it. If you're going for something that's more of a freshie, And actually it's a little, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a unique, particularly unique fragrance, but it is a little bit more of its own original DNA. It's called Lime in the Sky. I think it's an original creation from them. It's more of like a really fresh, semi-sweet lime with like powdery nuances. It's really, really nice. I honestly haven't dived into Dua a lot. I don't know if y'all know, but I when they Dua first started, I bought about 12 uh, like their samples, I guess small decants from them. And I honestly didn't really like any of them, and I ended up giving them away. And I was kind of scared about, what Dua had done to some reviewers in the past about reviewing them, and I didn't want to start off my channel with reviewing like a dozen fragrances that I didn't like from Dua. Well, there was like 2 out of the 10 I thought were okay, but I really didn't. Really wouldn't suggest anybody buy any of those, but Dew is completely changed. Now they have their 30 mil bottles. Their prices have gone up. Hopefully, their quality is a lot better, and their fragrances look a lot more complex. The presentation's a little bit better. Hopefully, uh, Dew is really nice. I'll try them in the future, perhaps. You know, they got a bunch of those interesting fusion fragrances that everybody seems to be really interested in. What's up, Ben? Hey, Cali Reviews. How are you doing? And please forgive the dogs in the background. Hopefully, this feels like home, like you're having a barbecue with the fighting dogs. Every time I try to talk or chat, they seem to want to fight. How you doing, Tross Sense? How's the life? How's the world? What's your scent of the day? 2 cents worth. Hey, everybody's popping in. This is fun. So, the topic today is, do you tend to like cheapies more or do you tend to like some niche? This is a beautiful cheapie. I recently got this one. It's called Saint Kitts from Tommy Bahama. This is the gift set. And this gift set, the presentation actually blew me away. I think it looks quite nice. And I actually wish I had a t-shirt of this, like a purple blue with gold marlins, like a swordfish. I would really like a rockin' t-shirt like that if y'all know where one is. Hey, I'd love to buy one. It'd probably be $100 shirt, but maybe I could get one. Maybe I'll contact a tailor if I ever get enough money. But I really like the presentation. I think it's quite nice. There's a aftershave balm, a hair and body wash, and of course the full-size bottle. This one's getting a little bit hard to get. If y'all haven't seen the Saint Kitts, I talk really highly about the Saint Barts by Tommy Bahama. That's kind of a Virgin Island water fragrance as well. That one's really, really good for the money, like $20 or so, $20 or maybe less, and that was a fantastic cheapie. I really like. I'm starting to. This one's really growing on me. It's like a starfruit fragrance. There's not a lot of fragrances out there that really highlights the note of starfruit. And if you're not familiar with starfruit, it's got its own little texture and a little density to it. And it is kind of like a cousin to pineapple, which always smells really nice. But it has a little bit more of its own like density to it. I feel like pineapple becomes a little bit sweeter and can have a little bit more of like a almost like a sharpness to it, and the star fruit has a little bit more of like a weight to it and almost like a feel to it, like imagine wax. It has a little bit of like a little bit more of a density about it. I never tried the Bahama line. Well, if you're looking for cheapies for the summer, Tommy Bahama is one of the best places to go. That's why I talk so good about them. St. Bart's is one that's very, very good. If you want something very safe and very inoffensive, very cool is good to layer with other fragrances. If you want to add some like musk and something kind of fizzy and just fresh, it's also good. But that's probably the least popular out of the bunch. There's Martinique, which is probably one of the better performing, if not the best performing, but it's a little bit more green. So if you like things like Mont Blanc Legend, it probably is a good alternative. So, what's up, Ben? Hey, Nathaniel, how you doing? Hey, everybody. Hey, Fragrance Journey. Hey, if I didn't say hello to you, hey, Dean. Sorry, I think I missed your comment. Hey, 2 cents worth. Difference between 10 a.m. Flirt and Fico di Amalfi. They both contain fig. Very different fragrances, my friend. The 10 a.m. Flirt it smells very grassy to me, but the big player in that fragrance is gardenia. The gardenia is really the heart of the fragrance and is the big player. And gardenia it might be a make or break note. 10 a.m. Flirt is kind of aldehydic and floral. I know some guys out there say that they would prefer it more on a lady. I feel like it's perfectly unisex. And if you're sometimes comfortable with unisex scents, like if you can wear things like Dior Homme Intense, I think you'll be comfortable with wearing it. But it definitely is kind of a different territory for a guy. I tend to like more masculine scents as a guy, and 10 a.m. Flirt really grew on me, and it's a good price. It's like I think 75 dollars for their fragrances. And if you buy the Discovery set, I think it's like 18 odd dollars. You can get it's essentially like a coupon, and you can put that $18 towards the actual fragrance, so you save a little bit of money. Fico di Amalfi, I've tried that one as well. It's a really really nice fig fragrance. It it smells more authentic like a fig. It's focused on the fig. It perhaps has a little bit of a light modern woodiness to it, but that one's mostly focused on the fig, and it's more fresh. And I would say it feels more juicy. The 10 a.m. Flirt, the fig is there, but it's more of like a fig juice. It doesn't feel particularly fleshy like the whole fig fruit. And Fico di Amalfi certainly does. Fico di Amalfi certainly is higher quality and smells more tropical. They're both really, really good. I guess it depends on if you can tolerate gardenia in a big amount and you want performance. I think the 10 a.m. Flirt is great, but if you want something that smells higher quality, something that smells a little bit more natural, it also doesn't have as good performance. The Fico di Amalfi is good. If you're a big lover of fig, you might even want to have both of them. It's if you love fig. They're fairly different. It's just like with a Ventus. Everybody sees pineapple and they just say a pineapple. They see pineapple. It's a Ventus. It's a Ventus. And there are plenty of fragrances that might have some pineapple, but aren't a Ventus clones. So uh, let me catch up with the comments, everybody. Troscent says "Scent of the Day" is very sexy too. That was by Carolina Herrera, I believe. Great, very good fragrance. Honestly, I don't think I've smelled the original, but somebody at college actually came to me because they figured out I was so interested in colognes, and I'd bought like 20 cheapies, and they came to me, and it just said very sexy on it, and they're like, "What is this stuff?" And I looked at it, and immediately I'm like, "Oh, you got a cologne." And I Googled it. I hadn't even smelled the fragrance, but I knew it was Carolina Herrera, and it smelled okay. Yeah, it's got its own like little, I don't know. It makes me think of like Smooth Jazz and Pink Panther, and it's kind of smooth. It's like a Cool Cat fragrance. It's a good fragrance. I don't know if I could pull it off, my friend. Maybe you got like a red velvet jacket, and you can sing some smooth tunes. I don't know if that I could pull that off, but it is interesting. It's for some people it could be a hidden gem for sure. Let me see. If Tommy Bahama fragrances lasted longer, they would be masterpieces. They all smell amazing, but last about an hour or so. Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of them. They don't last the longest. With Saint Kitts, I probably get not Saint Kitts, Saint Bart's. I probably get about four. With with Very Cool, it becomes kind of close to the skin really quick. I probably get five. I don't know, six or so, but it's very close to the skin. This one is probably performs a little bit better. I was getting anywhere from 5 to 6 hours on this one, and the projection was, I mean, sometimes was noticeable. So I'd say probably maybe slightly below average. It still is noticeable sometimes, which really surprised me. And for the pickup for the whole gift set, like for 30 odd bucks, I was really happy with it as a cheapie. So let me see here. Dean says fine cheap fragrances always smell synthetic. Rather put funds towards niche sample myself. Yeah, that's kind of one of the discussions I wanted to have. Do y'all feel comfortable? Do y'all like the smell of cheapies? And this is also helpful for my own channel. I want to know, do y'all want more cheapie content or more niche? But I know more people do want to watch the cheapies. But um, let me know, what do y'all feel about all of this? Uh, to me, a lot. It depends on the cheapie. There are more affordable fragrances that maybe aren't blended the best. Sometimes the quality might not be the best, but most of them don't smell synthetic to me. Um, I can tell maybe when the quality isn't the best, but most of the time I don't smell. It does. A lot of fragrances don't come off particularly synthetic to my nose. Maybe one out of every 10 designer fragrances come off that way. But I can see what you're saying there. There's a lot of people who really, really like quality in fragrances and who can get picky. And I've seen and talked to people who think that even Mansara and Montal fragrances aren't good enough quality. They just don't smell good enough. And they know that the rose or the oud is synthetic in a lot of the Montals, so that puts them off. They don't want to wear it. So we're all different people for sure. Sea salt and fig, as that's one you really like. I got that's sea salt and fig. Hmm. You almost got me think of the sea salt and what was it called? Cedar. The one by is it sea salt and cedar? There's one that sounds like that by Joe Malone. Is that the one by Old Navy or something? Anyways, let me know. I've been getting a few fig fragrances. It's actually not a bad note. Yeah, fig is really good for the spring, and also it can be pulled off in the summer if it's not overtly sweet or if the heat's not too bad, especially if you're indoors. Fig is a really good note. Coconut is as well. I would like to see more men's fragrances use the note of coconut. Coconut just isn't used that often. I have a review coming out of 1981 Indigo for y'all. I had a couple of y'all begging for a review of that one, and it's a pretty good cheapie. It smells pretty sweet. It's pretty blue, maybe a little bit linear, but performance is all right on it. And if you're looking for a cheapie, I got mine off eBay from a big, big reputable seller for I think it was 17 or maybe a little bit less than $17, shipped to my door. So it's really affordable for sure. Um, Violates says need advice. I have a list of 250 fragrances I want to add to my collection. I feel you there. It's ridiculous. I've actually scared myself a couple times. I have on Fragrantica. I have a huge list that I want to try or want to buy. Then I made some email on my Gmail. I made some drafts, like saved some messages for myself and made some lists that way. And now I just take screenshots, and now I have like 1,000 pictures of things I want to try. So I feel you there. There's so many to try, so many things that look good and look like it'd be fun to try. It's that's the world as a fragrance lover. There's so much stuff out there. I'm ready to order some fragrances again, but how do I know which ones to pick? My biggest advice when people are buying fragrances, well, blind buying, is especially if they're designer fragrances. I know with what's going around in the world right now that it's not easy to go out there and just sample things at the mall. With the quarantines and all that stuff going on, so you might you might want to wait and save your money. It all depends on how much you want to risk. So it's not easy for people to go to their local Macy's or mall or Dillard's or whatever. But get samples if it's something more expensive. It might save you money on an expensive niche fragrance. But also look at your collection. That's one of the biggest things you can do to make yourself a little bit more happy. Look at your collection. I don't know how many bottles you have, but you might be missing something. Like maybe you need something really formal, like for a fancy occasion. You don't have to think this way or have a fragrance for every situation, but it's nice to have at least one classy fragrance for when you go to a family reunion, to a wedding. Maybe you go for a job interview. Maybe you have to do an annual, I don't know, report or meeting with HR. Uh, Maybe you want to make a really big first impression. You're invited to a fancy party. Or maybe you just want to feel classy, and clean every once in a while. There's really good fragrances out there that just smell soapy and clean. I got Neroli Woods by Banana Republic recently. There's things out there like Reflection Man, Prada El Homme, Dior Homme O, and those are really good for just smelling clean and classy. So I'd look at your collection. Maybe you don't have a patchouli fragrance. Maybe you don't have a boozy fragrance. Maybe you don't have a coffee or a leather. There's a lot of really good notes. That's what I would do. Also, a really big point about understanding your personal fragrance taste and your personal fragrance style is looking, at the fragrances you have. You might find that redo a tiny bit of research, and you might find that you have a certain perfumer that you actually like. That's happened before with a lot of people, and you might want to get into a certain brand and a certain perfumer. And sometimes perfumers jump from brand to brand, so maybe you want to, find those fragrances made by Anique Minardo or some of these huge makers of fragrances. Like, just about everybody's heard of Alberto Marias these days. And also look at the notes. Figure out maybe you like what's it called? Eau de toilettes or EDPs, Eau de parfums. Maybe you like certain note structures. Maybe you could figure out if you like more linear fragrances or maybe you like more dynamic fragrances. It really depends on you. Maybe you like certain notes. Maybe you like a lot of people in the USA like things to be really sweet. Maybe you want to find fragrances that have more tonka in the dry down or vanilla or notes like that. Something that maybe has some fruity nuances. So yeah, hopefully I helped you out. There's a lot of fragrances to go through. It really depends on your budget and your collection. That's what I would look at. Definitely have to pace myself out. I definitely once you get to the point where you have more than 20 fragrances, you probably don't need more. You probably are set for life, but we're always looking for something new and something fun. And I do sell a lot of things. Not everything stays in my collection. I've bought and sold a lot of things, and my dad is into fragrances, so I review and share with you all a lot of fragrances from his collection. I have some reviews coming of vintage Creed fragrances and some Dior exclusive collections, and he bought some of those, like Ombre Nuit and some of those. So nothing wrong with cheapies, but I personally find niche more interesting. Yeah, if you want like more creativity, if you want fragrances that have more unique notes, maybe the perfumer put in the extra work. Niche definitely has you can find something that really suits your taste, but that's another risk with niche. A lot of people get into niche thinking that it's the bee's knees, and you're probably going to find more fragrances that you dislike in the niche world than you like. And with designer fragrances, the average person just walking into the mall when we could go to the mall, probably just liked a lot of the fragrances there. They're meant to be mass appealing. But when you go to niche fragrances, those are going to be made for certain people. Every fragrance has a different story, has unique notes, has a completely different smell and a different feel. There's niche that I might like that you might absolutely hate, and vice versa. Like I've seen people love a fragrance called Umaguma, which is to me a very strong floral fragrance that kind of goes head to head with a pretty dark chocolate fragrance. It's a niche fragrance, and to me that's like two big components. They're like two twisting snakes kind of fighting each other, and the fragrance is loud. It projects. It's obnoxious, and some people love it, but I can't stand the stuff. It all depends on what you like. Some people really love the animalic niche fragrances, the heavy ouds, and there's all so many notes. Heavy. Some people like heavy florals. There's so much stuff out there you can find in the niche world. That's what's so beautiful, fun about it. You can find a fragrance that you really, really like, and you can find a fragrance that kind of is just for you, because not everybody's going to have it, not everybody's going to know about it. Uh, but then, if you ever have to tell anybody about it, it kind of makes it hard to explain. I guess that's a negative. You have to tell somebody what it is, and they might get frustrated. They might be like, "I like that one," and then they get mad at you that it costs like $200, or they don't want to remember the name of the fragrance, and maybe you want to write it down for them, and some people just get fussy. So it's a funny world. So um, Eric says try out Towerville. Not super expensive for indie fragrances. Yeah, Towerville has some really good stuff. I have tried a few of them. I think three or four. I really like the how do you say it? Eau Coeur de Desert. Not the Marocaine. I actually like the regular one a lot better. It's more of like a smooth, rich leather fragrance. It's kind of simplistic. You have to love leather fragrances to really like that one, but they are a really good house. I don't think that they get a lot of talk. The Eau Coeur de Desert Marocaine, if that's how you say it, gets all the talk. It seems it's probably their golden child. I don't know. It might be their biggest top seller. They don't get enough talk for sure. And thoughts on Rive de Ombre? That's by Tom Ford. I've tried that one. I think it's a really fascinating fragrance. It's one of the only amber and aquatic fragrances I've ever come across, and it's blended really, really well. It transitions very well, and it's two notes that just aren't traditionally, or you don't see it very common, that somebody tries to put together amber notes with aquatics, and it's really well done. It really is. I love the transition and the feel of it. I have tried it. I did a review on Fragrantica, but the thing is, with the fragrance, it only is going to last you 5 or 6 hours most likely, and it's a Tom Ford private blend. So, and it's still, even though it's well crafted and well done, it's still kind of simplistic. It's just a decent aquatic note, nothing particularly fantastic, and an amber note that's pretty nice, but nothing particularly fantastic. And it's well crafted, but it's I don't feel like the notes, especially if we're talking about the price, it's just not that fascinating and not that long lasting for something extremely expensive. But again, it all depends on your budget. For some people out there, for a Tom Ford private blend collection, you get 50 mils, half the size of a normal size fragrance, and it costs, retail wise, $300, $350. For some people, that's reasonable. Some people out there pay actually full retail. A lot of us in the fragrance community, like myself, are very budget oriented, and I'll take the fragrances. I'll wait a little while, and I'll take the leftovers. But the average consumer out there wants something quick, and they just want to smell good, and they buy what's trendy. Somebody at the fragrance counter introduces something to them, and they fall in love with it, and they just buy it. And also, for these companies to survive, they kind of need people to be like that. If everybody who wore fragrances, just waited and for things to become kind of like to cost, what it cost the actual companies to make the fragrance and market it, like $100 fragrance becoming $30, or a Creed, Creed Aventus or something that they normally charge 350 or $400 for, and you can get it on the discounted market 200, 250, maybe 150 if you're lucky. Different places, prices jump up and down, but Dean says, question mark, did I miss? Oh, okay, I see. Hopefully that answered your question. Darren says Old Navy. Oh, okay, yeah. I've seen people talk about that one. I think I looked it up online and I couldn't find it, but I'll have to see if I can find it online again. And sorry about the dog over there. There's always people walking and spying, and the little dog doesn't like that. Yeah, that Old Navy sea salt and fig is really nice. I'll have to try it. I've heard really good things about it. It might be a really good cheapie. I really do like salt in a fragrance too. 2 cents worth says similar to Pacific Rock Moss, sea salt and fig. That's really nice. Pacific Rock Moss is a nice fragrance. If you want something that's higher quality and super inoffensive and safe and fresh, if you really, really like your aquatics, you might like it. When that one came out, I was pretty critical of that fragrance, because it only lasts like 4 odd hours, and it's really expensive for what it is from Goldfield and Banks, and it was getting a lot of hype when it came out. It was like the new like Percival. I don't know if Percival got particularly popular. I don't think Sedley kind of got mixed reviews when it came out, but it was a pretty hot thing. It was a pretty hot item, and people were really, really talking heavy about it. And I wanted to try to slow down that trend a little bit, because people will actually were pre-ordering and blind buying that fragrance as fast as they could. That for about actually 2 months or even 3 months, you couldn't get it anywhere because it was always sold out. Immediately when that they had it on stock on the website, it was selling out, and people just immediately bought it. And I kind of thought about getting a sample, but for the first month I couldn't find a sample. People were buying them out; they're sold out, and I just didn't fight anybody. But eventually I did get a sample, but it smells darn good, but performance is not good. Projection's kind of weak, and it'll last you 3 maybe 4 hours. So I don't know about Pacific Rock Moss. So Dean says, when you're thinking about adding a fragrance to your wardrobe, do you look at different or something similar? And others say leather dominant fragrance. I it really depends. There might be a leather dominant fragrance that actually could be very unique and very different from anything I have, even though I really do like leather fragrances. I don't have like let's say, I don't have anything that's like a leather tonka fragrance or a leather coffee dominated fragrance. I would love something like that. And I do like to look at my collection, and I look at maybe the styles of what I like and what I don't like. I mean, I have a fragrance for every occasion. I really do, and y'all probably do too. You probably have a fragrance that can work for every occasion, but do you have a fragrance that could work maybe for, another situation? Like, do you have? You could think of transitional fragrances from like spring to summer, summer to fall. I love those kinds of fragrances. I love finding fragrances that I can wear for certain. Like I like to wear maybe in the mornings or the nighttime for certain seasons. A lot of people don't like to limit themselves by seasons, but I don't feel like it's limiting. I just feel like it's what works best. I don't have to limit myself to a season, and honestly, I sometimes even pull out my gourmands and my ouds in summer, but I wear very little, and I make sure to be careful around other people. But I like to find fragrances maybe for summer nights. And I used to talk about that pretty heavily on my channel because I thought it was really fun. Because, during the summer days, you might want to, when it's really, really hot and the sun's beating down on you if you're outside, you might want to have something really, really fresh. And that's probably the thing that's going to work best. Something that's really light, something that's really fresh, and probably isn't going to last very long. So when you get to the end of that summer day, after that freshy fragrance is kind of worn off of you, maybe you're going on a summer date, and maybe you're going to the beach. I don't know what you're doing, going to a little grill out with your buddies. You might, that fragrance isn't going to linger on you anymore, and might want to go out and spritz on something you can get away with during a summer night. Something fresh, but still maybe has a little bit of spice to it. Cardamom. Maybe something a little bit sweet, maybe just a little bit something fruity. But that's what I like to do. But I'm always looking for new, interesting fragrances as well. There's so many brands I want to try. I did make a video about, I think it was my 2020 essentially wish list or try list of this year. There's a lot of fragrances out there. There's so many I want to try, and I'm sure you feel the same way, everybody. Callie says you really don't need more than two or three niche unless you're a collector. That's true. You don't even need niche, really, or really any fragrance in general is a luxury, um, especially niche. You don't have to have niche, and I hope that nobody watches my channel, especially maybe in the future, whenever maybe I get some more niche. Hopefully, I'll get to that point, but I hope I never, lead people to think that you can't smell good unless you buy niche. I never say anything like that. I never promote that. You don't have to have any niche in your collection. You don't need it, but it's certainly fun to have, because again, you can find something that's really, really amazing for you, but you might have a lot of disappointments on the way. So that's a really why I really discourage people from blind buying niche. There's plenty of hyped fragrances that are niche that I actually tried that I actually dislike. So everybody's going to have different taste. Like Baccarat Rouge 540, one of the most hyped, maybe besides Aventus, of course, probably the most hyped fragrance recently, Baccarat Rouge 540, and I personally don't like it, but I know some people love it. To me, it smells like a pink cotton candy. It smells kind of like latex. The ambroxan's pretty heavy. I don't mind the ambroxan in it. It doesn't bother me, but some people are bothered by the latex. Some people get a really weird cherry vibe, and some people really dislike the ambroxan. So, everybody might actually there might be people who dislike a fragrance for multiple reasons. So that's a really funny thing as well. Rose Flash is great. Eric, I haven't tried that one. I know people have told me to try those. I might have to get a sample of those. I don't have anywhere to try those around me, but they look fun. They look good. Three is max far as niche. Yeah, it all depends on your budget. It all depends on your wants and your needs. I think I have like maybe 10 or like 9 niche now. I don't have the biggest collection. I promised y'all with when I got to 2,000 subs that I do y'all collection video. I still got to get that video out for y'all, but I don't have most of my collections designers. It really is. Even though I review all these niche fragrances and all these odds and ends, I mostly wear designers. So, what fragrance would you recommend for a gift for Mother's Day? My mom is 75. She likes the fresher scents. Fresher scents for a lady who's 75. I don't know. It might be a little bit. Again, I don't know her taste, but it might be a little bit innocent. But it also might be really fun if she likes the bottle and she likes the look of it. I'm a big fan of Shalimar Lumiere. It's like eau souffle, souffle. It's like has this. It's like gradient. It's white on the top and then blue at the bottom. That's a really nice fragrance. It's light and lemony and fresh, and it's in the Shalimar bottle. So she might be familiar with the Shalimar bottle, and it's also going to be a very wearable, lemony, fresh, delicate fragrance with kind of more of a vanilla dry down. But I find that it's really nice for casual or daily wear for a lady. That's one of I really recommend that one. If she likes fresher scents, let me think of another one. Gucci Bamboo EDP is really really nice. I don't know if it's not particularly a fresh scent, but I still feel I still think it has a lighter feel. Crystal Noir is quite nice, but if she likes things that are very floral, you might want to go for. I always think that Miss Dior Blooming Bouquet is amazing. One of the best like modern feminine floral fragrances out there. Not a lot of people talk about it. It's really nice for the ladies who like florals. If she wants something a little bit more creative and a little bit more whimsical, and it's a little bit better for your budget, the original Lolita Limpica or even some of the flankers might be good as well. I'm sure that there's a flanker of Lolita Limpica. It's a fascinating little bottle. It might be hard for her to spray. It has like a little stem. It looks like a little apple, and then it has a stem. But a lot of ladies love that one. I bought a limited edition bottle for my mom like 2 years ago, and she absolutely loved it. It has a little bit of a fresh licorice kind of smell. Um, I don't know if she likes lavender, but I'm just throwing fragrances out there. But there's one by it's called Hypnos. Actually think Jit Sense actually talked about it pretty recently, but it was the Pour Homme version. I actually bought the Pour Femme version on accident. The eBay seller didn't list that if it was Pour Femme or Pour Homme, and I took a risk on it. I couldn't tell by the color of the juice from the listing, and ended up being a great gift for my mom. She loves it. It's a little bit more of a lavender kind of feeling of a fragrance. Hypnos Pour Femme. It's discontinued, I think, so you probably have to find it on eBay. If prices are outrageous on that one, I haven't checked in a little while. You could ignore that one, but thank everybody for everybody who stopped in. I just noticed that we have 20 people here. Thank y'all for hanging out with me, fellow fragrance lovers and enthusiasts. We're talking about cheapies. Do you like cheapies versus niche fragrances? We're having a fun little discussion. I haven't showed the niche fragrance I just wanted to showcase, but I was talking about Tommy Bahama St. Kitts here for a second. Starfruit fragrance, and this one's getting kind of hard to get. I hope it's not discontinued because I'm going to give this one a pretty good review for y'all pretty soon. So I like the feel. It has like a texture to it. And if y'all have ever seen a Tommy Bahama fragrance, that's how they spray. It's pretty good. You know, the fragrance reviewers always like waft it in their face. So, oh my goodness. Let me catch up with the comments. Um, Mr. Cheapson says Dapper Fragrance's version of Pacific Rock Moss was the scent of the day, and it did a first impression on it earlier. Definitely smells like sea salt and fig, and Ferrari Noble fig. Okay, so they threw some fig in there, huh? I bet that'd be a nice addition to that one. You know, Pacific Rock Moss with a little bit of fig. I bet that's pretty good. Um, I I think I heard you or somebody was talking pretty highly about that brand. It's like a new clone house on the scene. I gotta check out some of their fragrances. I think a lot of us are eager for Virgin Island water, a more affordable Virgin Island water, and I really like Central Obsession's version of Vodka on the Rocks. That one's a really interesting, take on kind of a modern blue fragrance. I really like it. I got a hour projection, 5 hours longevity version. That's not bad at all. That's definitely better than the original. How do you differentiate between transitional fragrances and winter fragrance? That it's kind of subjective, but to me, it really from spring to summer. To me, the fragrance has to have like something a little bit green or something a little bit fruity. Something in the spring can still be fresh and bright, but still have some density to it in the dry down. And summer, of course, is better with citrusy fragrances. So something that's like cool and icy, maybe slightly green, is really good, I think, for transitional fragrances. For going from summer to fall, and then fall to winter. Let's talk about summer to fall. That's really interesting as well because you're going from something particularly citrusy, maybe aquatic, and then you're going for something that that's more of like a maybe leathers and coffees and tobaccos. So you might want something like Versace the Dreamer, or something that is really fresh on the top, but also maybe has a little bit more of a woody, or maybe even a heavier little bit of a dry down. From fall to winter, I mean, it depends on where you live. For some people, they don't even differentiate. You can wear probably winter fragrances in fall or fall fragrances in winter, depending on how little or how much you spray. You really don't have to worry about that at all. From fall to winter, at least I think. But winter fragrances, if you do get something super, super heavy and super, super strong, I know some of you guys still have a vintage bottle of the original Angel, Mugler's Angel with the metal container. That thing is a beast. And I know some of y'all have like vintage bottles of Amouage Interlude Man, the Blue Beast. I know some of y'all out there probably have Nasamato's Black Afghano. If any of y'all have fragrances like that, I do think that they're maybe better for the winter. But of course, wear what you want, when you want, wear what you love, my friends. So that's how I think about it. Niche is so much more exciting. I feel the same way, Dean. There are really good designer, flankers. There is some creativity in the designer world, but there's not very much these days. For the most part, designer fragrances are made to sell. They kind of repackage and resell things that are very popular. They follow trends a lot. A lot of even some of the niche brands are somewhat following trends these days. But yeah, with designer fragrances, it that might not be the most exciting, but sometimes there's a good flanker here and there. Like 1 Million Lucky, I thought was pretty good. I guess you could say it's more of a designer version. It has big similarities to Pegasus by Parfums de Marly. I'm sure you could say that, but I mean, every once in a while, there's a pretty darn good flanker out there. Like I really like Mugler's Pure Tonka. I think it's darn good. Let me catch up with the comments. Sam Broom is in the house. Hello, my friend. How you doing? What's up, Ben? What's up? Hey, my friend. And thank you for your questions, Dean. I really like them. Eric Smith says, I don't like a lot of niche fragrances. Creed, Parfums de Marly are my favorites, but they're more like overpriced designers. Very true. There are some niche brands coming out that are trying to be more mass appealing. Creed is kind of always had that mantle, like they've always been considered the go-to niche if you're just getting introduced to the niche, or maybe you just want something that's easier to wear. Some niche fragrances are very daring and kind of scary, and that's for real connoisseurs. That's for people who are really deep into fragrances a lot of the time, and not everybody wants to go onto that side. So, I've spoken kind of critically of them, but again, they serve a purpose. If the customer is always right in a way. So if there's people out there who want mass appealing Parfums de Marly's, if there's people out there who want mass appealing Creed fragrances, more power to them. For me personally, if I buy a niche fragrance, I want it to be unique. You can find plenty of mass appealing, great smelling fragrances that you can wear anywhere, anytime from designer fragrances. You don't have to pay that much money. You can find even cheapy fragrances that smell pretty darn good, and you don't have to pay 100 or 200, 300, 400 plus, and the sky's the limit with niche. So with niche, it needs to be interesting. It needs to be well crafted. I'm going to demand a little bit better longevity. I think Atelier smell great, and some of them smell darn good. I've recommended Pomelo Paradis a number of times, and I think it's great. But like Atelier fragrances, at least their fruity ones or their citrusy ones, if they only give you 4 hours or maybe 5 hours if you're lucky performance, even if they do smell more natural, to me that's a big pain. You're paying a lot of money. And that's one reason I really don't go deep into the expensive, high-end, natural side of perfumery. Because if you go to the high-end natural side of perfumery, the best natural perfume sometimes can give you, like with House of Matriarch, is sometimes, like, 6 hours. Or if you go for the darkest notes like patchoulis and ouds, maybe you can get 8 hours plus. But a lot of the times it's going to be about 6 hours, and they're going to charge you a lot of money. So, yeah, that it really depends on what you like and what you don't like there. I uh, I like my niche to be unique. I like them to have a lot of personality. That's all what I'm all about. People are of the perception that niche means good. Definitely not always the case, but most definitely more expensive. Yeah, it really depends. I hope nobody feels that way. I don't know where that opinion comes from. I guess it's with any brand that tries to market itself as luxury. Just like name brand shoes or name brand cars, they market themselves maybe as the best of the best because they're more expensive, and then people think just because it's more expensive, it's better. But you really have to evaluate. I've talked a number of times on my channel, at least in lives, I think about this, but there's something called the law of diminishing returns. You can get better and better performance or quality out of just about anything, but the more and more you pay for something, the less and less results you get. And it really depends on the market. If you're buying a wrench, for your tool shed, the price of that tool to get a really good quality, like let's say a hammer. Like y'all probably are familiar with things like this. A good hammer will probably cost what? $15, $20. Sure, you can get a cheap one for $5, but if you want a decent one, I don't know, anywhere from $10 to $20. Now there are luxury hammers. There's hammers that are a little bit better quality. You could pay 30, you could pay 35, maybe $40, and get a really good hammer and something you're probably going to love to use and something that's going to last you forever. Maybe if you're a construction worker, you'll really, it'll last you a long time. If you're a construction worker and you just buy a cheap hammer with a cheap tool, the wood handle, it's going to get loose and it can probably break on you, and it's not going to be as comfortable to use with all the shock. So, and I've seen hammers out there that actually cost like $100 plus. So it all depends on the market you're in. With same thing with cars and boats, the average car might be 25, 30,000, and the price keeps going up. But you get less and less results, but you do get better quality, but just a little bit less. If that, hopefully I'm helping you guys understand a little bit. So helping you guys out. Um, I definitely agree with that point though, but yeah, niche is so exciting, but it's true. It's expensive. Dean says two or three fragrances. I would get bored too quickly, but the reason I don't do a signature scent, yeah, they were talking about doing 2 to 3 niche fragrances, and having things for specific your personality or specific situations. I don't think that they were saying just to have only 2 or 3 fragrances, but I see what you're saying there. And I really don't wear signature scents. I've never really had that attitude. I think it would be fun to maybe wear a fragrance consistently for a month or so, but I don't see a lot of people that consistently, to wear the same fragrance every time whenever I see them. And I don't want to wear the same fragrance to every time I see somebody so they can remember me by a scent. I guess it depends on what you want to do. Some people like that. Some people think it's fun, and some people really love a scent, and then they get dedicated to it, and they just want to spray it all the time. But I like variety. I buy decants and oils, and even fragrances that I truly love. Sometimes I'll blend them with an oil just to see what kind of result I can get, and make it smell a little bit different every single time. So Scent of the Night is Guerlain Vetiver. Fantastic fragrance. One of the best cheapies, in my opinion, out there. Very affordable. It'll easily give you 5, 6, maybe even 7 hours. It's fresh. It's crisp. Some people say it smells a little bit old school. I don't think it smells outdated, but it does have a classy edge about it. Amazing fragrance for 30 odd dollars. So, Joseph how do you say that? Tomarinian says, "What up, everybody? Scent of the day is Millesima Imperial. It's so fitting here in Stockholm's weather. Hey, how you doing? I missed you. Hey, how you doing, my friend? Um, what's the weather like in Stockholm? Is it cold? Is it crisp? Is it summery and spring? Let me know. I'd be interested to hear. Happy to see you, my friend. Hey, John, how you doing, my friends? How you doing? Mr. Cheap Scent says no fig in the original Pacific mock. Pacific rock moss, if I can speak. It has lemon, but somehow smells like fig. Yeah, I really didn't get a figgy smell out of the original Pacific rock moss. I definitely noticed the lemon though. I see what you're saying. I need a cheap but good coffee and chocolate fragrance. Any good suggestions? That's a tall order. Coffee and chocolate. The closest thing I know, honestly, is Pure Taka, and I talk about all the time. But it's not really coffee or a chocolate heavy fragrance. I do get those nuances in the fragrance. It's mostly like a dark, rich tonka, and it has like a lavender kind of aspect to it. For some people, it I don't really smell the lavender in Mugler's Pure Tonka, but for some people, any lavender in a fragrance is a deal killer. But I think Mugler's Pure Tonka is definitely the way to go for the money. Coffee and chocolate. Let me think. There, I want to say like an indie brand like Posey. Posey must have one. I know that there's a brand called what's that brand called? You might have to message me, and I might on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. What's that brand called? It's an indie brand. It's not coming to me. I actually have them saved as a page because I stare at their gourmands all the time. What Solstice. I remembered Solstice. I think it's called Solstice scent. I wouldn't say they're cheapies, but you can get a bottle for like 60 odd dollars, and so, they look amazing, and they definitely have fragrances for you if you like. Their gourmand section looks amazing with tobaccos and coffees and chocolates. So um, I definitely would maybe pony up a little bit of money before diving into the niche and maybe get a one from Solstice scents. Uh, Dean says thoughts on just separating two fragrances into two categories: summer and cold weather, winter transitional. Let me think about that question. Thoughts on just separating fragrances? Do you mean like organizing your collection? That's what I do, but you don't have to do that. Honestly, I reach and wear anything any time, and I'm not saying that anybody should ever limit themselves, but I do like to organize things that help me to understand and grab a fragrance quickly. Like in the summer, if I don't want to think about it, I'm like, here's my summer fragrances, and if it's fall, if I don't want to think about it, I'm like just like here's my fall fragrances and et cetera, et cetera. Winter, spring, all that. That's how I like to go about it. But I know everybody, some people organize their fragrances by brands. Some people are collectors. Some people probably organize things by, I don't know, certain flankers. Like if you line up all the extremes of certain versions or absolutes of some version, all the designer absolute flankers and you could, be creative with a lot of things like, oh, fresh flankers, have them all lined up. Favorite imaginary author fragrance. It's I need to try them, but all more of them. But it's probably Memoirs of a Trespasser or what was the other one? Whispered Myths. Probably one of those two. I honestly I need to try more of them, but them and like Gallagher fragrances have been kind of a hit or miss for me. Also with me like Byredo for they have a couple good fragrances like Gypsy Water was pretty decent. Elevator Music was pretty good. Everybody likes Balda Freak and Mojave Ghost get some talk, but the rest of them aren't for me. Some people really seem to like Gollivant fragrances, and yeah, they're more wearable for a niche fragrances. They're more wearable, but again, if I'm paying that kind of money, I don't want something that's light and inoffensive with a little bit of a twist. That's not something I'm interested in. So like Gollivant and a lot of their fragrances, you know, don't work for me. But Doug says yesterday scent of the day was Aventus Cologne. I should have said it funny like you spelled it. I'm not making fun of you. I just be making fun of myself. It's like Adventus Caligni. Today scent of the day is Guess Seductive Blue. Okay, I think I've seen that one. I don't remember if I've tried that one. There's so many designer fragrances, and there's so much stuff out there. Does Black Afghano smell similar to Timbuktu? Oh, absolutely not. Completely different fragrances. Black Afghano is like a dark, smoky fragrance. It's touted as being one of the first cannabis fragrances. It's touted as being a really rebellious fragrance when it first came out. It was a really iconic fragrance for a lot of people. It really, in the fragrance world, it was one of the first, if not the first, cannabis fragrance, if I remember right. and a lot of people wore it, kind of like people did. They wore what was that fragrance? I think it was Shalimar when it came out, and it was really popular with like women's freedom and like flappers. I think it was so. Timbuktu is more of a in really interesting incensey fragrance with vetiver, and it also has a really interesting spicy nuances. It smells like Africa, so they're very very different fragrances. Um, Led Zepp says the House of Monsignage has a number one olfactory awards in the past a few years yet, and the community ignores them, but they don't suck up to reviewers. That's very true. There's certain brands that are amazing that simply don't throw out free bottles, and they don't suck up to reviewers, and that's why there's fewer reviewers of their content, and people don't talk about them as much. Serge Lutens is one of those companies. They have some really great stuff, and some of their fragrances are more vintage leaning, but amazing brand, has some real winners. And Les Artisans the same. Les Artisans criminally underrated. A lot of their fragrances go on sale because I guess they don't sell as much as well as they should, and they're really good quality. I mean, Les Artisan does some great work. I need to check out the house. I don't think I've gotten any samples from them yet, but it's really funny with hype and trends. Like, again, I made a video about top 10 hyped fragrances. Maybe I need to make another one. Like for me, like a lot of them, like Oud for Greatness and Parfums. Late was pretty good, but it's not that exciting, especially for the price. I thought Oud for Greatness wasn't good at all. Uh, there wasn't a lot of hype behind Pegasus, but some people seem to really like it. I wasn't crazy about that one. I don't know. Everybody has different opinions, but I'll make another video about that. Thanks for sharing, though, my friend. I got to catch up on that. No, Timbuktu is a sour mango incense. Yeah, the green. It's great. A green mango. I should have mentioned that, but I don't want people to think that it's a fruity fragrance or like it has a big blast of like fruity sweet ripe mango. It's definitely not that. It's a very much. If you didn't know mango was in it inside Timbuktu, you might not even know that it has mango in it at all. Besides some of that sweetness and some of the body to the fragrance, it's very green, so it's like raw, like it hasn't matured yet. And Black Afghano is like oud incense. Yeah, I can see where it can kind of smell like an oud incense. Yeah. Cyanide says Pure Tonka is great. I really like it. It's one of those fragrances that just didn't get a lot of talk. It didn't get a lot of popularity, and with Mugler being bought out, it's probably discontinued. Pretty sure it is. So if you really love it, I probably should buy a backup bottle, and I really like it, but I might let somebody else have it. But there's a lot of really good chocolate fragrances I haven't explored yet. So Demeter probably has a chocolate coffee fragrance. Demeter has everything. Demeter has a fragrance for pizza, for Reese's peanut butter cups. Demeter has like a fragrance, I think, for pizza. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're off the wall. I don't know who's buying this stuff, but somebody must be buying it. I don't even know where they sell it. Did they sell it at Walmart? Where do people buy this stuff? I've never seen where they sell Demeter fragrances, but if you go and look, I wouldn't be amazed if they had one for like, I don't know, dog food or I don't know. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know how they do it, but aroma chemicals somehow. Cyanide says, "What's a good frag for the morn?" Oh, Kim Jong Un. Is that a trigger word? I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on my channel. Uh, I don't know, man. Probably something like green and leathery and really sour and kind of dense and I don't know, boring or something. I don't know. I can't think of one right now. Maybe just like a really boring leather fragrance. Like an old school leather. That's kind of boring. I can't think of a fragrance that comes to mind. He might like Yatagon. I don't know what the guy would like. Anyways, that's a funny question. Dean says, yeah, organizing collection into two categories, summer and cold weather transitional. Yeah, that I think you could do that. I think that'd be a fun thing to do, but that only really matters if you like to save time or if you maybe, helps you with your stress. For me, I just bought a bunch of fragrances, so I'm probably close to 80. if I didn't organize my fragrances and I just had to stare at 80 fragrances, and I'm nowhere near some of these guys who have 500 or 1,000 fragrances, and if I just had to sit there and stare at 80 or let's say 100 fragrances and I didn't organize them at all, I'd be like, "What?" I'd be debating and then I'd want to switch things up, and I probably would waste 5 minutes wearing a fragrance every day. Do you like Mitsuko? For which season? I don't. I think I've tried that one. I want to say I have, but I don't remember much about it honestly. I think that's one is considered unisex. It wasn't. Is Was that one originally made for ladies or women, or is it unisex? I know that there's some guys who even feel comfortable wearing Shalimar, and more power to you if you like it. More power to you if that's what you want to wear. Um, if I remember right, isn't that a Shipra? I don't remember much about it honestly, but I'm guessing it's more of like a spring fragrance or maybe for the fall. I don't. I'm sure you could wear it in the winter if you sprayed a lot of it, especially if you have a vintage bottle. But I don't know if it's going to work for the summer, my friend. Let me catch up with the comments. I haven't bought a Demeter yet. Worried about their low quality. Yeah, they're more of like fun fragrances. If you can find one on cheap, if you want something that for a room spray, if you think it's whimsical or fun, you could probably just try it out for kicks and giggles. I wouldn't buy a Demeter fragrance expecting anything serious. Some people used to buy the Demeter pineapple and mix it with their favorite clone of a Ventus to make it even fruitier, or maybe you could layer a lot. That Demeter pineapple got a little bit popular for a while, but I wouldn't really recommend them. What are you wearing with Sasha? Hey there, Sasha. How you doing today? What's your scent of the day? How y'all doing? Hey there, Centurion. Everybody's popping in. Hey there, John. How you doing? I've seen Demeter on FragranceNet and FragranceX. Yeah, you're right. You can get a good sale on them. I've never been tempted to buy them. Maybe in the future. I already spend enough money on fragrances at this point. As a fragrance reviewer and a fragrance enthusiast, I don't need to be buying whimsical fragrances to spray in my room for like pizza. I'd rather actually buy the pizza. Let me see here. Catch up with the comments. Where do you buy your fragrances from? I was told to add to my. I want to add to my collection, but obviously, want to get a good deal. I buy most of my fragrance honestly have come from FragranceNet. I'm not affiliated with them. They don't pay me to say that. I've never received anything for free from them or any money from them or anything like that. I've never gotten money from anybody, but I think that FragranceNet is dependable. Some people hate their shipping. If there was one time where it took like over 2 weeks. If you cannot take their shipping taking like longer than a week and a half, or 2 weeks maybe. If you want your things in 2 days from Amazon, you might not want to deal with FragranceNet. But in the USA, they're probably the most dependable, and they probably have the biggest selection. They have a lot of really good cheapies. Honestly, because of what's going on in the world, the availability on FragranceNet hasn't been as good as it used to be, has been, was good, if I can speak English. But yeah, I'd recommend them. Fragrance by CA is really good. Fragrance X, I think, still deals in the USA. I think Fragrance X is the new company. Like after Notino, I think split with the USA. So I think Notino is in Europe, but I think you could still mess with Fragrance X. I know that there's Max Aroma, which I think is owned by Max Forte. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he owns them. Um, Fragrance by CA does really good service. They're out of actually Canada, but they do a darn good job, and they have some fragrances that actually are really hard to get. I got my 24 Gold Oud edition from them. If you've really been dying to get a really good, sweet, gourmandish oud that has great performance and isn't too scary, they have that 24 Gold from Scent Story, and for a darn good price too. So let me catch up with the comments. Hey Centurion, how you doing? Sorry if I missed you. Yep. You could definitely. There's a lot of ways to save money. You can even buy off eBay. There, I think it was like called Perfumeria. If you got to look and see if they have like a nine, if they have like a 99% score, their rating, and if they've sold more than like 10,000 or 20,000 bottles, they're probably highly credible. And eBay also protects the seller really well. So if you ever do get a fake or anything, let me know and I'll try to help you. I know how to, you can probably it's not hard to figure out online if you do a little research, but eBay really favors the buyer over the seller, so it shouldn't be hard to get your money back. So testers on eBay are usually great deals. Yeah, testers can save you even more money if you don't care about the full presentation. Sometimes you won't get your cap if you I don't know if y'all care about the cap or not, but testers also can save you a buck. Um, that's for sure. The Leak Sport thoughts, if any. I haven't tried the Leak Sport. I want to try it. I've tried the original Lalique Pour Homme. I've tried the Equius. I really want to get the what's that one called? It's like it has a really weird name. It has like a couple S's, like the Isums or Isomes. I really want to get that one, but no, I haven't. I haven't tried that one yet. If you're talking about Encre Sport, it might be the one you're talking about. I haven't tried that one. I don't think either, but I tried the Encre Noir and I've tried the Encre Noir Ella Extreme or however you say it. I always mix that one up. Thanks, you. Have you purchased from eBay? Oh, yes, I have. I've definitely purchased from eBay, but you got to be careful. If you're buying a designer fragrance, just find a really reputable seller, again, who has like a 99% score and has sold more than like 10,000 or 20,000 bottles. And you're probably not going to have any risk of a fake. And if you do, you can get your money back through eBay. They'll help you. But if you're buying from a smaller seller, if you're buying something that's often, people on eBay can be thieves. They're getting smarter. A lot of the times they won't throw cheap alcohol that burns your nose when you spray it to dilute the fragrance and fill up the bottle. A lot of the times they'll actually buy aroma chemicals these days, and they really like to fill up fragrances with ISOE Super. And if y'all are familiar with how ISOE Super smells, I mean, if you know what it smells like, I mean, hey, you probably can tell that it's off. But the thing with some of these eBay people, sellers are really ripping off people, making a lot of money because people are going there and buying decants of things like Aventus, really popular fragrances, and then they're mixing them with really cheap aroma chemicals, and they're cheating a lot of people big time. So you do have to be careful on eBay. But I do buy from eBay time to time. Just make sure there's very little or no negative feedback. Yeah, if they're a 99% seller, you look at the rating, it'll tell you out of 100. If they have anything less than like 98 or 97, you probably don't want to mess with them, most likely. And I mean, unless they're a really, really big, really huge seller, you might be able to trust a 96 or a 95. But if they're smaller and, if they have like an 85 or even a 90, you might not want to mess with them. If you're a big seller or if you just want to be a good eBayer, I have an eBay account, but I'm not the biggest eBayer in the world. And I'll try to do anything or everything. I gave somebody a partial refund and I actually don't think they deserved it, but I did it to protect my user score, so I kept my 100%. Because people look at that, and if you have 100%, they're a lot more likely to trust you. So, yeah. Let me see this Led Zepp. I have Encre Noir Sport, and it's a superb fragrance. Still has a strong vetiver throughout, but opens with a fantastic citrus. Good for spring and summer. Yeah, I've heard people say lots of really good things about it. If you like dark, inky vetiver, but you want to be a little bit more fresh, a little bit more versatile, that might be a really good one for you. Definitely check it out. Thanks, Centurion, for helping out. So I appreciate that. See. What are you wearing with Sasha says, thank you. I will let you know if I end up buying off eBay or have an issue. Yeah, definitely be very careful. If it's a really popular fragrance, if the color of the juice looks off, be really careful. If it is a fragrance with vanilla, I've had somebody actually message me about this. and they didn't know. If it's a if it's a fragrance that has vanilla in it, vanilla naturally actually becomes darker in a fragrance. It's actually very normal for a fragrance with vanilla to actually become darker in color. And some people think their fragrance has gone bad, and it's just naturally discolors. It's just like, I guess oxidizing or just a little bit of a chemical change. It's just like your bananas going brown, I guess, or your apples. So it's still a perfectly good fragrance. I think they were asking about Mugler's Alien Essence Absolute, which I really recommend for the ladies. I think it's really good, but the Alien Essence Majestic or Majestus and the Essence Absolute are both really good. Fragrances, ever bought anything from Forever Lux? Honestly, I haven't. They might be reputable, they might be, but honestly, Fragrance Net in the USA is probably, I think they're the biggest, and I just deal with them even though their shipping is slow. A lot of the times, Fragrance Net has given me the best. I mean, sometimes they aren't the best prices, but sometimes they are, and they just have a really good selection. It's just convenient, so I just mess with Fragrance Net most of the time. Thanks, guys. Yeah, Led. I'm happy I helped y'all out. If you have to go, you have to go. Bat Orchid by Andromeda's Curse. Oh, that's a really good one. It's really good. And I'm happy that I helped you find that. That's a really good indie house. They are a little bit more gothic or like witch inspired, but I like that Beast. They have a fragrance called Beast as well. Bat Orchid and Beast were probably my favorites. So Natalie K. Oh, that's your scent of the day. Fantastic one. Led Zepp, how you doing? Oh, it says good. Anyways, before I go, or before we wrap this up, I wanted to show y'all. I don't think we're debating about. I think we've already solved, and everybody shared their opinion of cheapies versus niche. Not designers necessarily, but just cheapies versus niche. Very bit. I've never seen anybody really talk about that topic. That's why I thought it was fun. I wanted to showcase my Tiziano Terenzi again. I'm just so proud of this. It's by Ursa. Could you turn the phone horizontal so we don't get the bars? I could, and I'm very sorry if you're on a phone watching me. It's actually you don't have a problem. You only have the problem if you're on a laptop. The problem for me is I can't see the comments if I have it horizontal. If I have it sideways, I can't see the comments going up and down. YouTube has this set up essentially, so this is the only way it's going to work, at least as far as I can figure out, as far as I know. So I'm sorry about that, Dean. Are you on a laptop or are you on a phone? Um, Anyways, the niche fragrance I wanted to show y'all is my Ursa from Tiziano Terenzi, and this is niche. I think a niche fragrance, if you're paying that kind of money, it should come with a beautiful presentation, and they did a really good job. This again, it says Ursa on the front. I don't know if y'all got to see how beautiful that was. At the bottom, it's really interesting. It's kind of like a mesh that's soft, and then there's an extra cap there, and that supposedly is for travel. If you don't want to bang up or beat up this cap, maybe if you're traveling with it, that's a travel cap there. Um, let's see here. Show it to y'all. Have y'all seen a Tiziano Terenzi niche fragrance? Everyone's different for the different fragrance with the constellations, and this fragrance is not for everybody. I love it, but it's definitely more of a little bit of an aggressive leather. It's got rum, but it's not particularly like a fresh boozy. It's like more of like an old rum, and has some animalics to it. So there's a lot of people out there probably dislike this fragrance, but I personally love it. So making sense. How you doing? Dean says, "What about using your computer for comments?" I could try that. Honestly, I don't have access to the Wi-Fi very often. I don't want to talk about my personal situation too much. I don't try to want to do a sob story for y'all all the time, but I don't have access to the Wi-Fi or the internet very regularly unless I mess with my phone. So um, sorry about that. I'll try to do that in the future. I'd love to get like an actual like sound. What's it called? Like a sound bar where I can actually like change the pitch and the volume and stuff. That'd be really fun. I can be like PewDiePie over there and like synthesize my voice for y'all. Centurion says beautiful presentation. I think too. The cap is actually I think it's heavier than the actual bottle, and it's porcelain, which I don't know if that's more expensive or if that's cheaper to do than glass. But it feels soft. I think it feels a lot better than glass, and it's a little bit easier to grip as well. I'm not gonna waste a spray, but I really like it, but I know it's not for everybody. I do have to say that Tenzion Terenzi fragrances first started as candles, and their fragrances do have a little bit more of like a laid back, almost like natural smell. There's not. I feel like a lot of them, even their citrus fragrances, don't have a big burst of citrus, like off the top. They have like more of like a laid back, natural, continuous kind of smell, like kind of like what you would use for a candle. So if you like more of that candle vibe, I mean, can we say that's a style of the fragrance? We got a candle style fragrance. They're gonna be like, "What are you talking about, Ben? What are you saying about our fragrance?" And I'm gonna be like, "It's a candle style," and they'll be like, "What?" Packaging's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful presentation. I think that if you're paying for a niche fragrance, I think that not only the presentation and everything should be beautiful, but of course the fragrance should be beautiful. Um, some of these niche brands that are coming out, I don't know if maybe they're not blending them well enough, and maybe they are putting good quality. But I've smelled some niche fragrances. I don't think they smelled that good, and I thought the presentations are not what they should be. Tenzion Terenzi is one of those niche brands I think that's putting the effort out for y'all. This looks like a niche fragrance. It feels like a niche fragrance, and it smells like a niche fragrance. And it's not a $500 fragrance either. This is like a 235, I think, odd dollar fragrance. So, and again, I'm not saying that you have to have it. It's not for everybody. It's daring. It's weird for a lot of people, and I'm just so grateful I have it in my collection. And I honestly don't have a lot of niche fragrances. But again, for somebody who likes cheapies, for some people out there who just want to save money and just want to smell good, this is going to be a complete waste of money. If you just want a $20 fragrance to smell good on the street, get noticed, you probably are gonna get a lot more compliments with Nautica Voyage than Ursa. That Terenzi fragrance I just showed you, you probably will get a lot more positive reactions out of something like Nautica Voyage or Dior Sauvage. There's no question about it. But this again, niche is more about you. So let me see here. Fresh bottle. I agree. It's crisp, man. It's fresh. Cyanide, or I always want to say cyanide. Cyan Oxide says, I like to get into candles, but I don't need another thing to waste money on. I feel you. I get into so many hobbies, and I already need to work on having more and more money. But, man, yeah, I'm into knives. I'm into other stuff. I'm into incense. I'm into fragrance. I'm just a guy who wants to be a Renaissance man, but doesn't have the Renaissance money. At least yet. I'm working on it. It's smooth like butter. I agree. It's really nice for sure. That Terenzi fragrance. So, if you're talking about my knife, yeah, it's smooth too. So, it's on ball bearings. Anyways, any more questions for me? Any more thoughts, opinions, feelings, and what do y'all want to talk about? This is one of the perfect opportunities y'all have to hang out with me and tell me maybe like what kind of content do y'all want? Do y'all want more cheapy videos? Do y'all want more niche fragrance topics? Are y'all bothered that I review so much indie? I have a lot of indie reviews made, but I don't get a ton of views on them, and I'm really curious if y'all want more indie content or not. I definitely want to represent some of these brands, but it is kind of difficult for me if I put out a video and it gets like 50 views or 40 views, and I put work into it and all that. So, do y'all like the indie content, the indie fragrances? All right, Ben. Good chatting with you. I'll tune in next time. I'll probably be on tomorrow night as well. If y'all want to hang out with me, I'll try to think of something creative. Let me know. Do y'all want me to just like play music out here and just I don't know. What do y'all want me to just be out here like Joey Cannoli and just like kick the breeze, or do y'all want me to? I like talking about fragrance. You're too much, Natalie. You're too much. I don't know why, but I'm. This is another thing I probably shouldn't say on the internet on YouTube. I'm getting into my later 20s, and I've always been really healthy, and I've always been a little bit of an old soul. So when I was young, people thought I was older, and now people think I'm usually younger. People actually think have carded me. One time, I had a brother who had the flu about I don't know like 3 months ago or so, and I went to go get a bunch of like things like Nyquil, things like some dumb kids abuse, and they carded me, and I joked with them about it, and I don't know, for some reason, young ladies, the young gals like me, and older, but my same age don't like me. So that's the way it's always been. It's probably always going to be that way. So the young ladies or even girls, it's kind of weird. I don't mess that way, but it's been weird a couple of times. And I told y'all one time I got complimented where I was wearing Bulgari Aqua Amara by like a little girl, and I'm just like, this is too much. I just left. I was like, this is weird. Having a little money sometimes it can be positive because it forces one to be resourceful. Very true, and it gives you opportunities to actually use that money. And was it like success is opportunity versus like with dreams and preparation, that kind of stuff. So you won't have success unless you're prepared for it, and of course, you got what you need to have. So your indies don't ship to the UK. Yes, I'm very sorry. Indie brands are usually so small that they usually don't ship internationally. They're indie brands are small. They're usually made in house. Somebody's house. They're very small brands. So there's probably some indie brands in the UK that we don't have access to, and I'm sorry about that. So do you want me to talk less about indie because you can't buy them? Is that how you're feeling? And I'm sorry about that. I wish that you could get your hands on a lot of this stuff more easily. Yeah, living in the USA has pros and cons. There's a lot of really good Italian fragrances and French fragrances and a lot of really nice stuff y'all have over there. But like Gallagher and Imaginary Authors and like DSH, and there's some good stuff in the USA too. So your indie reviews are awesome. Mix it up. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. I think I will keep them up. I try to pace them out, but I have a lot of indie reviews, and sometimes I look at my channel. I'm like, I'm putting out all this content. If you have 17 people who are here. I don't know if you know. I used to say that I did reviews every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think it was. I've been doing reviews just about every day. So if y'all don't know, I'm putting out tons of content for y'all. So if y'all like to see this face that the young girls and the older ladies seem to like, I don't know why, but come back just about every day, and I'll have something new for you. I have a video up today if you haven't seen it yet. So, um, do you budget for fragrances? I do budget. I have to budget. There's so many things I want to buy. I already spend myself broke as it is, and if I didn't budget, then I'd be even more trouble than I am. So I definitely have to budget. There's so many good fragrances out there. I always have a buy list that I like make for myself of like 10 fragrances that are on my like my priority buy list. They're like the most important buys. I'm like these 10 are the ones that I gotta buy, so that like limits my want, and it limits my sometimes anxiety, because I'm like I want all these things and I'm never gonna get to try them all. I'm like, don't think about the other 1,000 fragrances I want to try. Think about these 10 fragrances. These just 10 that I really, really got to get my nose on and try sometime in the near future. So, take care, Ben. Good night, all. Hey, Centurion, fantastic channel, fantastic guy. Definitely, all these people who are stopping in. I think it's Mr. Cheap Sense and Centurion. Give them a chance if you haven't checked out their channel. They're really cool guys. Some of these guys are they're good friends, and I really do appreciate them stopping by. So, yeah, Centurion, I wish you a good night. Led Zepp says, who has the best online sales, and when do they happen? I'm not sure who has the best. Uh, Price per price, if you're in the USA, Fragrance by CA has sometimes better, things that Fragrance Net doesn't have. Um, but sometimes Fragrance Net has things that Fragrance by CA doesn't have. In my experience, it was Fragrance Net has more niche. Like sometimes they actually have Parfums de Marley's, and sometimes they actually have Creeds and big brands, and sometimes things sell out really fast. But I like Fragrance by CA sometimes. I think that they sometimes have the better prices and sometimes they liquidate things. And I don't know how they get their inventory, but there was actually a bunch of these really odd, like artisan fragrances. And I was tempted to buy them, but they were a little bit more niche, like they're a little bit weird. And there was like 4 or 5 of them from a new collection. And they like liquidated them for dirt cheap. They were like $50 a bottle for late artisan fragrances, and I was really tempted to get one, but they sold out pretty quick. They were so cheap. So, uh, you if you're trying to save every penny, Fragrance by CA, get on their newsletter. Make sure you wait for a 10% off sale, and then you can start also building up your points if you join up for their emails. So that's a really good way to go. And then they also there's some doorbuster freebies. You can get like a little freebie added in. That's how I got my Eau de Gaga. You get to pick, and I got chose a little free add-in bottles. So if you want more views, just do more lists. We can see that's the recipe to grow. Yeah, it's true. I like to limit my channel to list. I actually had a guy who used to watch my channel. I don't know if he watches all the time anymore, but he was annoyed that I did list at all. There's some people who are very adamant against list, but they're definitely in the minority. The majority of people on YouTube and the majority of people who watch YouTube videos want to see list videos. That's just sadly how it is. I want to do more actual traditional fragrance videos. But if you do a top 10 list, people get interested. They want to see what's the number one. You get to tell them like little quick snippets of every fragrance. And, it can introduce people to fragrances. Not everybody wants to watch a full length review like I do, where I tell you the notes and the composition and, how the fragrance changes a little bit. And then I tell you about the longevity, the compliment factor, and then the price. Not everybody wants to sit through the whole ordeal. So, but it's true. I'm not going to change my channel to focus on top 10 list, but I am trying to do them every so often, maybe one a week, maybe two. But I don't want to throw any names out there, but there's a guy, and he recently started doing top tens very regularly, and he's growing like wildfire now. And I don't want to seem like I hate the guy, and I don't. I wish him the best, but there's a couple of guys that have like doubled me or tripled my numbers in views and subs just because they did top 10 list, and I don't know. Maybe it's my vanity, but I think that I present fragrances better, and I think that I'm more informational. I think I have a better, I don't know, style, and I think I pace things out. I give you a lot of helpful information, but I don't know. Maybe other people don't feel that way. So, but you're very right. You're very right about that, Dean. Cyan oxide. I always want to say cyanide. I've only ever used Lucky Scent and eBay. Yeah, if you want niche, Lucky Scent's a really good way to go. I don't know about if they're international for everybody in the world, but Lucky Scent is one of the best places for niche. And niche usually doesn't go on sale. So if you're expecting to get a big sale on niche, you usually won't get it. Neiman Marcus, I think recently had like a special 30% off sale or something crazy. It was like Neiman Marcus or Barney's or something like that. But usually that never ever happens. So it's crazy, but how expensive that niche can get. But Lucky Scent's a good place. Lucky Scent's good for sure. Hello, Ben. Hello, all. Hey there, Silent Night. Happy to see you. I love your format. I'm happy that you like my down to earth content and channels and everything, and how I present my content. I really do appreciate that. And Lucky Scent's a really good place. Honestly, they have like people, little spoke people who present some of their fragrances on their channel, and I'm like, I wish I was those guys. I don't know how much they get paid, but I'm like, I can learn about these niche fragrances and I can present this stuff. I'm like, why don't? It's like, why don't you have me on there? Dress up in a tie and suit like Jeremy. I know I'd get a lot more views. I've actually had two different people heavily criticize me in the comment section and tell me that I look like a slob because my shirt. I think this is a pretty good shirt, but I guess to some people, especially if you're used to high fashion, this might be sloppy. But yeah, social status and suits really do matter. You know, if I wore got up here with a suit, I want to feel natural. I want to feel cozy. Maybe I'll get on here, every once in a while, and maybe I'll wear like a white shirt, but I won't zip it up or something weird like that. I'll wear like a white shirt, but I'll like have it half zipped. Do y'all want to see that? But it's true. Hey, and maybe if I spun around, people would like me more too and did one-handed push-ups. I'll stop. But people find it entertaining. Currently, I like reviews of fragrances that came out last year. Reviewers had time to get used to the scents, and their initial opinion and hype might have changed. Yeah, when a fragrance is hyped and people are, get that daze, and everybody wants to, jump on the hype train and think that it's really, really good. Again, when I talked about not liking Baccarat Rouge 540, I don't know if I was the first, but I think I was one of the first, if not the first person to really say publicly as a fragrance reviewer that I didn't like Baccarat Rouge 540. And then a few other people popped up and said they had the same feelings. I had one reviewer who was actually really mad because for some reason they wanted to, I don't know, wanted the fragrance to get even more popular. And I mean, hey, if you want to get mad at me for my personal opinion on a fragrance, I don't know. Let me see here. Maybe get a face tat. Get the face tat for the channel. Do you think that help with YouTube? Or are you saying like for the ladies? I don't know. What would that do? Would that make ladies my age like me more? Would that make, I don't know, younger? I don't need even younger ladies liking me. Um, y'all probably gonna think I'm incriminating myself if I say anything more, but I definitely don't break the law or anything like that. But it's really weird when a 14-year-old like likes you and you're just like, no, don't even go there. Maybe get a face tat. No, I don't think I'll do that. I've been tempted to get like a Hawaiian or like a Polynesian sleeve on the arm. I think those look really nice, but that's probably influenced by me. I liking the old Atlantis movie. The Atlantis movie, the old Disney movie that everybody forgets about. I really like that stuff. But be yourself. Yeah, I agree. Be yourself, and that I mean, I might. That's what really matters. If you're having fun and if you're comfortable, becoming the biggest YouTube star doesn't really matter. That's not really my goal. That's not really my thing. The ones that are criticizing you sounds like, who are they? No, they're just people. I don't even know their name. A lot of the times they're just like no name profiles. They're not YouTubers or they're not even fragrance reviewers or maybe they're fake profiles. There's been a time or two where I know that people are fake profiles and I don't know who they are and I don't know what they're trying to do. But it's really funny that even in the fragrance world, there's some reviewers who are making fake profiles so they can hide their identity and say things. I guess I don't know. I think it's really strange that you want to hide what you think or how you feel. It's like if you feel that way about something, just say it. I mean, you don't need to hide who you are. But I guess that would hurt them. Some people, the old adage, you don't mess around where you sleep, or you don't, or even the more crude version, which is you don't make a mess. I can't say the word, but you don't do that stuff where you eat. Some people, maybe want to have some fun and play around, but maybe don't want to risk hurting their channels. So you like Midnight in Paris, and it is niche. I don't know where that comment came from, but Midnight in Paris is a designer fragrance, but it certainly was more unique of a designer fragrance. I suppose that you could look at it a little bit as a niche fragrance, but it was made more by a designer house, I think, by M. I think it's called M. Mekaliv. It's discontinued. It's expensive. I think it's a really good fragrance, and I wish a brand would come out with a fragrance that was really a clone of it. But I mean, I wouldn't go for it, especially the EDP. Getting the EDP version is almost unheard of these days, and somebody would probably charge you 150 or maybe $200 for a full size bottle, if not more, these days. So it's a good fragrance. It didn't sell very well, probably was because it was a little bit too interesting and maybe a little bit futuristic, and it was kind of powdery and stuff like that. It didn't. That's the hard truth. A lot of these fragrances that get discontinued, they're not selling well enough, for the brand to want to keep them on. Designer houses want to make a lot of profit, and they'll just, discontinue a fragrance and put out another one. If the fragrance isn't selling well enough, they're not keeping around fragrances for 10 years as art, like a niche brand might do. So, thoughts on Bobby Brown fragrance? Who is this Bobby Brown? I haven't tried no Bobby Brown. I ain't seen no Bobby Brown around my street. Who is Bobby? I'm just joking around. I haven't seen Bobby Brown fragrances. I've never heard of them, but I gotta check them out. Thank you for letting me know about these Bobby Brown fragrances. I ain't never seen them. Best projecting sheepy thoughts. That's a really hard question, but that's a really hard question. 24 Gold is darn good by Scent Story. That's a really good one. But it probably has to go to. It's probably a tie. I don't know which one wins. It's either Silver Scent by Bogart, which I think is highly synthetic, and I think it's a mess. But there's one that's a really good fragrance. I just did a review on it about what was that, a month and a half ago. It's called Rogba by a brand called Latafa. It's kind of one of those Arabic kind of semi-clone houses. It smells a little bit like oud bouquet, but it's really vanilla heavy. It's ladies might like it more, but it is unisex. There are guys who would be comfortable wearing it, and that thing is a beast. It easily gave me 14, 16 hours, had good projection, and lots of sillage. So be careful with that stuff. I don't even think I got any on my hands, and my dad noticed that the cat, I petted the cat, and the cat smelled like that fragrance for like 3 hours, even after I think it was the next day or something crazy like that. So be careful. Thoughts on Byredo? Byredo is a good house. They're kind of like Gollivant. I think Byredo, the fragrances feel a little bit like white Tonka fragrances. Like they feel fresh, a little bit, but not really citrusy. The core of the fragrances feel like a white Tonka, meaning they feel almost like a vanilla, but without, like Tonka can't smell like vanilla, and they kind of have that white, almost like a pulpy, uh, you know, Tonka, which again smells kind of like vanilla, but without the richness and without a lot of the uniqueness that vanilla really can have. And that's the core of a lot of their fragrances. And I honestly don't like the style. They're really laid back, they're really casual. They're not like strong, confident, bold fragrances. Again, I like my rich fragrances like coffees, tobaccos, and leathers, and that kind of stuff. Um, Byredo's a good house. Lots of people like them. Balder Freak is probably their most popular. Gypsy Water sells, and lots of people love Gypsy Water. Mojave Ghost does very well. 11th Hour is probably, I think it's called 11th Hour, or no, there's one called Elevator Music, and I think that's probably their best. And I think they have one like something Veils, if I'm not getting things mixed up. And it was pretty good as well, but it's kind of like a safe fragrance. Even though I thought it was nice for the money, I probably wouldn't get it. If you want their most unique fragrance, it's probably Black Saffron from Byredo. That's probably their most unique. And if you find it, you can probably get a really good sale on it because a lot of people who are going for Byredo aren't really wanting to smell overtly unique. I don't think Black Saffron sold very well, and I wouldn't be amazed if it's discontinued as well. So, have you tried Issey Miyake Le Faux d'Issey? No, I haven't. What is that one supposed to be like? I haven't tried a lot of Issey Miyake's. I tried Blue Astral. I've tried the original, and I want to say I tried I think it was the regular noir version, but I know that I think there's a noir parfum, and there's like a couple of them that are like a little bit darker. There's like the noir argent or the noir agent or whatever it's called. I want to find one that I like. A lot of people are saying really good things about the Pulse of the Night, but maybe I'll find a Issey Miyake I like in the future. Astro Blue is actually not bad, but I didn't think it was that amazing. So that was my dad's, and ended up selling it. But it did smell good quality for sure. Yeah, better than the others, I think. Cloud based scent says, I agree. Happy to hear. Uh, oh, about the Byredo. I see what you're saying. Yeah, Byredo. And Byredo's not a bad house. I don't want to. I don't want people to think I'm bashing on them or Gallivant. But if you're going for unique niche fragrances, which I think if you're going for niche, that's what it's all about. But some people like something that's a little bit interesting, but they really care about it being wearable. And if you want something that's more wearable with a little bit of a twist, brands like Gallivant and Byredo are probably what you want. If you're willing to go for those houses, if that is something you're interested in, I would recommend that you definitely get a sample pack or a discovery set from Fleur. It's spelled Phlur. I think I've mentioned or reviewed Olmsted and Volks, and they have one called Moab. And I think that Moab has similarities to Camel by Zoologist. And they're darn good fragrances for the money, and almost nobody talks about them. They're doing pretty good work over there. So let me catch up with the comments. What about Nishane? I really love Nishane. They're from Turkey, and buying anything. I don't know if y'all know much about what goes on in the world, or if y'all care about that stuff. But buying anything from Turkey is sometimes worrisome. Not because I think I don't know, they poison the product or anything ridiculous like that, but I don't know. Form your own opinion. Look into the politics and what has gone on and what's been happening and what some people in the government does in Turkey. But I do like Nishane as a house as far as fragrances go, and I'm not asserting that they're affiliated, and I'm not asserting that they have anything to do what's going on with Turkey. I'm just saying that I don't know. It makes me worried a little bit, but I do like the house. Really good fragrances, really good quality, really high concentrations, long lasting fragrances that smell really high quality. I really like Fan Your Flames. I was the one that bought it about a year and a half, maybe going on 2 years now. I was not one of the guys who bought it because of the hype. I was one of the guys who talked really highly about it and kind of started a little bit of the hype behind it. Um, I think it's a better, more niche version, like actually more interesting, and longer lasting version of Enigma or Creation E. I think it's way better, but some people aren't going to feel the same way. But I certainly do. I think it's what I wanted out of Enigma or Creation E. It definitely has a similar feel, and it's what I want. It's what I need. I like Mojave Ghost, though I wear that a ton. Yeah, and that's the thing with a lighter fragrance with niche as well. If it's a little bit more of a versatile fragrance, you could definitely spray on a lot of it, and you might want to get better performance out of it because it's a little bit more mass appealing and a little bit lighter. And that really bothers me personally because you paid so much for it, and then you think about how much you spent on the fragrance. So sometimes lighter, more versatile fragrances are actually, if you're buying if they're niche fragrances, you're actually spending a lot more money for them compared to a heavier, richer, denser fragrance. Compared to a brand like Gallivant or Byredo, because if you get a really rich, dark, concentrated fragrance, you might only need one spray, two or three, maybe four sprays. Four sprays, I mean, with some of these fragrances, you'll absolutely be choking people out. But, with a fragrance like Gypsy Water, I mean, I could put on like 10 sprays of that stuff. So, favorite by Rado so far is Slow Dance, but you have to like Open X. Yeah, that one was a pretty interesting, almost like incensey fragrance. Yeah, Slow Dance isn't bad at all. That's not bad. But again, I thought it was kind of safe. It's it is more interesting than maybe an average designer fragrance, but it's not that interesting enough that I would want to pay that much money. DJ, hey DJ, and DJ actually started his YouTube channel. I think I encouraged him to. At least I'd like to think I did. What is it called again? I think it's called Cloud Base Sense. Definitely check out his channel if you have a little bit of time. I don't know if you uploaded a video today, but I watched that video the other day. So, Zoologist Elephant is my favorite from that house. Performance Monster, that's the one I'm really interested in, and Rhino. Rhino and elephant are definitely the ones I'm most interested in from zoologist. I have tried camel and T Rex, and I was trying to. I tried another one. I need to buy a Discovery set or something, but it's so expensive. But yeah, and really want to buy hummingbird sometime for my mom. She loves hummingbirds, and I know she would absolutely love that fragrance with a hummingbird on the front of it. So yeah, happy that you like it. I might be a brother with you. I might get it too. I was tempted by panda, but I'm not sure if I want panda anymore. Anyways, any more thoughts, my friends? I'm sorry about the clicking. When I have with my hands, I sometimes I'll stop that. I'm just flicking around something. Anyways, thank y'all. If y'all don't have any more questions or thoughts, I want to thank y'all for hanging out with me. It's getting pretty dark out here, but thank y'all, loyal, 11 people who are watching right now. Thank you for your friendship. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. It means a lot. I really care, and it really means a lot to me. What's your favorite laundry type fragrance? It's a hard question. Like cottony and fresh and clean. Mm, the closest fragrance I have to that in my collection is probably the Neroli Woods that I recently bought from Banana Republic. Sorry, that was a big bug. Recently, and I usually don't go for soapy, cottony fragrances. I know that's something that you love. I think you already have Telegram by Imaginary Authors. You might like the Guess 1981 Indigo as a cheapie if you like that. You might it kind of has that feel a little bit. Have you tried YSL Old Team? Yeah, I don't know if that one's too expensive. Don't bother with it. But if you can find it for less than $50 or something, you might like Yves Saint Laurent's Old Team. Um, Neroli Woods and Pure White. Oh yeah, really good. And you might like the white also by is that by Lalique or is that the one you're referring to? No, that oh that those I think Pure White might be also by Banana Republic, but there's a white bottle by Lalique as well, and you might be interested in that one. If you like things that smell kind of like clothes, it's an old school fragrance. I don't know if you'll like it. You might want to try Eau de Gray Flannel. You might like gray flannel, but be careful with that one. The regular gray flannel is one of my most disliked. But if you want something that smells a little bit like wool, like fresh wool, and has like an old school kind of vibe to an aquatic, you might like Eau de Gray Flannel. I think the O version is definitely the way to go if you want to try it. If you want to try that at all, definitely got to be careful. You might dislike that one, but favorite woman's daytime scent. Ooh, that's a very hard question. I really like Miss Dior blooming, absolutely blooming on a lady. I really like La Vie Es Belle, um, the Eclat version. I don't know if y'all saw my top 10 celebrity crush video. It had a lot of my favorite fragrances for ladies on there. I really like the Guerlain Insolence line for ladies as well. I think that the what's it called? The how do you say it? Like Damon line, the by Gavinci is a really good line, highly underappreciated, really good fragrance for ladies. Um, Everyday fragrances. Womanity is a little bit more interesting. Womanity by Mugler is a pretty good everyday fragrance. If you're it wouldn't do well in the summer, but I think Angel Muse is darn good. And sorry, y'all can tell this is live. This is real time, and yeah, that's a police or ambulance or something. So I have absolutely blooming and La Vie Es Belle. Yes, I definitely like your taste in fragrances. Then those are really nice, easy to wear fragrances. I think that for ladies, those are some of the best fragrances for just everyday wear for smelling womanly, and absolutely fantastic. Um, I really like the Shalimar Souffle Parfum and the Shalimar Souffle Lumiere version. I think both of those are really good as well. Um, I think that what is it called? Elisab is highly underrated for ladies' fragrances. I think that Le Parfum is absolutely gorgeous. It's more of like a honey fragrance. It's very classy. I think that Le Parfum by Elisab is highly underrated. Um, I can't remember the name now, but there's an Hermes fragrance. I think it might be discontinued now. There's a couple of them by Hermes that are discontinued that were made for ladies that are very kind of classy and very regal as well. Those might be nice. Scannon, Ghost Deep Night. I have never seen that one or heard of it. Where can you find this elusive creature? I've never seen it. Scannon. Anyways, other ladies' fragrances that are highly versatile. If you like indie, I don't think the fragrances are the highest quality, but if you do like to support an indie brand, if you do want to support a woman-owned company, um, you might want to check out Devona. They have a lot of fragrances that a lot of ladies like, and honestly, I don't. I think that they're pretty good, but I don't. As a fragrance lover, I guess I'm picky. I don't think that they smell that great overall. They are pretty good for the most part, and for the price, they're pretty good. But every lady I've let smell those Devona fragrances, they like them, and I don't know why. They have that lighter, more transparent vibe about them. They're like lighter and easier going, and yeah, I don't know if you're a lady, you might like those Devonas. So also Diorissimo is a Lily of the Valley powerhouse. That sounds nice. I haven't tried that one. How do you know these? You've see that's another fascinating world aspect of the fragrance world. There are so many different fragrance lovers. There's people who don't even make fragrance videos, and they've tried a lot of fragrances that I haven't tried, and vice versa. Let me see if I can get that light on real quick. Sorry about this, guys. There we go. Don't want to sit out here in the dark again. Yeah, and that's fantastic. You know about fragrances that I don't know, maybe vice versa. There's so many fragrances to try. I don't know if I'll get to try them all in my lifetime, especially the vintage stuff. Some of that stuff is super hard to get your hands on. You know, the older stuff. So, anyways, any more questions? Any more thoughts? Hopefully, we helped you, Natalie. Hopefully, those were some good suggestions. Maybe you have a paper, pen and pepper. What do you recommend for Middle Eastern powerhouses? I really want a bottle of Calumet Black. It's more of a Western nose fragrance, but I think 24 Gold Oud Edition by Scent Story is darn good. What are some Middle Eastern powerhouses? I've mostly dived into oils like musk and those kinds of things. I don't think a lot of my fragrances would actually be considered Middle Eastern. I have bought some fragrances from Louis Cardon, but I don't know if they're powerhouses. I really like Sacred from them, but I don't know if it'd be considered a powerhouse, even though it is more of a gourmand fragrance. Anyways, um, so I haven't. I don't have a lot of bottles of actual Middle Eastern fragrances. Dua's Atars are really good. Oh, if you're asking for Atars, I could give you some brands. I've sampled a few, but I really haven't tried everything. I want to get into the Attar world and the Middle Eastern world, but it gets super expensive super fast. Real ouds, the real deal oud can be. I mean, it can be like $100 a mil. It can get ridiculous or more. So I don't know if I'm there yet. I found a oud and I tried one time. I looked it up and I think there it was like what was it? There's ones that are more expensive, but this one was like $350 for like 3 mils, and I was just like, oh my goodness, 3 mils, buffering a bit. I'm sorry. This usually happens if you get close to 2 hours. I think YouTube doesn't like it, or the YouTube system has a problem when you get if you're live close to 2 hours. So I'm sorry about the buffering. Maybe I should end this live soon, but give me your questions real quick and we'll wrap this up, everybody. What's your recommendation for keeping a moderate collection and saving money? What I would do is simply smell as much as you can before buying. Blind buying is going to be the thing that's going to tempt you the most. It's the thing that tempts me the most. A fragrance isn't easy for me to get. Somebody has it on sale. There's no way for me to buy it where I'm at, so why don't I just blind buy it? That's going to be the thing that tempts you the most. Sample as much as you can, and actually buy fragrances that you love. And that kind of wraps into my motto: wear what you love. So try to sample as much as you can, because you might find 10 different fragrances that smell similar. Especially if you're messing with designer fragrances, a lot of them are very similar, but you can pick like the Goldilocks. You can pick the one that you like the most, and you're just going to be happier overall if you do that and you sample and you really test things on your skin, and as much as you can, you're definitely it's going to make you happier. I always also really recommend, like earlier, that you find fragrances for different situations. Like sit down and think about your life and think about what situations am I going to be in, and what do I want to smell like in that situation. Like sit down. Like, do you go to the supermarket a lot? Do you work in a business environment? Do you work in like an artistic field, or do you work somewhere where it's like laid back, or is it really strict? And then think about how your personal vibe, and also where that fragrance is going to fit best. You don't have to think about it this much like I do, but I think it'll help you. Just find a fragrance that really suits you for every situation. And really, you don't have to have a lot of fragrances to do that. Have a fragrance for daily wear, something fresh, versatile, easy to wear. Have a fragrance that's better for night wear. Maybe you could dive into like a dark rose or a patchouli, or maybe you want something comforting with lavender. Then you can find like a date night fragrance if that's what you want to get into. Something that's with cardamom, maybe something that goes more gourmand, maybe something that goes a little bit more in, with the gourmand in the food direction, or you could just go on something that's like just, pretty, or just like really kind of delicate. You could go for like, something with a tonka or focused, or something like with a rose, um, like a light, playful rose or something like that. So find fragrances like that that are really just going to fit your specific lifestyle. That's what matters, and what you do in your life. So you really don't have to have more than three, four, five fragrances to really have something for probably every situation. Something classy, daily wear, night wear, uh, you know, something for date night, and then something maybe fun, something whimsical, or something maybe for a rainy day fragrance, to something that makes you just feel happy, or you can or choose maybe your fifth fragrance to I don't know, you help you relax. Maybe you want something that make you feel energetic. When you wake up in the morning, maybe you want a coffee smelling fragrance so you can drink 3 glasses of coffee and smell like coffee. I don't know. It all depends on you. I need to try Venom of an Angel. I think that fragrance is beautiful. It's crazy and it's nice. In my opinion, it's one of the best out there. For ladies, for niche, it doesn't, if you're deep into niche, it's not going to smell the most unique. It's not going to be uberly daring. It's still pretty wearable, I think, and more on the more for the ladies, I think. But it's I think it's really nice. I really do. A great booze fragrance. That's a great question. Um, CH Min Privé, if I don't choke on air. CH Min Privé has that boozy whiskey note. Some people don't get it, or don't notice it, or can't smell it. I did notice it. It wasn't a big uh, aspect of the fragrance, and I really could only smell it in the opening, and then it really died down. It just became an aspect of the fragrance that changed how it felt a little bit. That one's really good. Pure malt perhaps could be described as a also a boozy fragrance. Again, that one doesn't really have the actual boozy fizzy nature to it, but it definitely could come off that way if you're in an office environment. I don't know if pure malt, if you're in a formal environment, I don't know if that would be a good option. But what else is there out there? And that those are designer fragrances that are pretty affordable. Boozy. There's Enigma by by Creation E by Roja, which is often described as a what is that, like a cognac fragrance. Fan Your Flames by Nichane, which I love, is described as kind of having boozy notes. Help me out, guys. I know there's more of them. Um, Boozy notes. The Yasmina, y'all saw my review, hopefully, of that one recently. I did a review of Yasmina by Kajal, and it definitely has a more of a whiskey note to it. Um, what are some other boozy fragrances? There's Barfly, which that one's kind of hard to get. It's not easily accessible, but that one's pretty nice. There's Jazz Club. Um, what else is there? Jazz Club. Hmm. Nothing else is coming to mind this night, but I know there's other boozy fragrances out there. I think that maybe you could even get like a slightly boozy nuance from Hugo Boss Bottled Intense, and I have the Parfum version. Maybe like a little bit like champagne or something. I don't know. To me, boozy notes really don't come through really strongly out of fragrances, and maybe that's just because boozy nuances are kind of hard to put into fragrances. Oh, almost forgot it, guys. Veranda, Veranda by Nasamato. That one's considered one of the best. And Apple Brandy by Killian. My mind is registering. My mind actually decided to work. I got you guys. I got you. I got you. So, anyways, hopefully that helped you out. If you need me to repeat any of those, please ask, and hopefully I will remember. Anyways, if you have any more questions, let me know. I probably should get going. Thoughts on a stronger with you? Oh, stronger with you. I found it sickly sweet. Yeah, it's really sweet stuff. Um, I don't think I would buy it, and honestly, the fragrance didn't sell that well, so I really didn't do a review of it. I felt like it was a fragrance that I thought maybe it was a decent one, and I know some people did like it, but it didn't really. It didn't. I know it has some flankers, so it must be selling decently well. But in the fragrance community, it just didn't really get a lot of talk. So I had lukewarm feelings about it. I thought it was just okay. I probably would tell the average guy to buy a Zara Wanted by Night if he's a younger guy, especially. But I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad fragrance at all. You could definitely get away with it in the winter, or if you spray just a little bit, maybe spray it on your legs or spray it on the back of your neck. But yeah, sometimes fragrances are too sweet. 1 million, really sweet for some people. The Code Absolute, the Armani Code line. Thoughts on Toy Boy? Haven't tried it yet. The one by everybody tells me I say this wrong, but it's Moschino. Um, I haven't tried it. I kind of want to, but I think it's like a black currant heavy fragrance, and I think that's a decent note, and I think it's all right, but I don't love that as a note. Honestly, it's not something I gravitate towards. I've smelled Enchanted Forest by the Vagabond Prince, which is probably the highest quality black currant fragrance I've ever smelled, and Cedrop Boise by Mansara also has that note as well. So it's probably decent. It's probably decent for the money. It's probably going to have decent performance. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to blind buy that one. I don't I don't want to smell like a boy toy, and I don't want that little bear in my room. I do wear some fragrances that are considered unisex, like Caligna or 10 a.m. Flirt, but most of the time I want macho scents. So I'm not going to be buying that one. Um, Nose, no notes. Hi Benjamin, how you doing, my friend? Happy that you could pop in. I've actually been on for about 2 hours, and people are trickling in comments here and there, but I probably need to go. I've been on here for over 2 hours now. But I know some people like Joey Canoli and people get on here for like I don't know 5 hours or 6 or something or more. I don't know. How are you doing, my friend? What's your scent of the day? Earlier, I was talking about what would you choose? Cheapies versus niche, not designer versus niche, but cheapies versus niche. What would you choose? You know, cheapies you might not get the best quality, but they're really affordable and they're easy to wear. And with niche, you might get better performance, but and they're more unique, but they're also really expensive. So, which one would you like? CK1 kind of smells like laundry. Yeah, that's true. And there's a brand called Clean, but I don't think they last very long. And I think they're supposed to smell like laundry. So, you should do some of those super long lives. What do you want me to do, Dean? What am I going to do on here if I'm on here for 6 hours or something? Do y'all want to hang out with me that long? I got things to do. I have to cook food and I don't know, try to learn or try to do something to make money. Oh man. Last niche I've bought has been a 30 to 50 mil to somewhat relieve the cost. Yeah, some people they like to buy the smaller size, or maybe they buy the full size and they decant it. You know, sell off the rest, or split it with some friends. You know, people who commit to buy the bottle or buy the decant whenever you buy it, or you could get on with a deal with a friend. So that definitely helps with cost. You don't have to buy the full size bottle. And that's another thing with niche. Sometimes niche fragrances are so unique and interesting. You might never actually wear a full 100 mils or 50 or even 30. You might actually be happy with a decant. There's Luxury Scent Box and Unique You, some of those decanters. And a lot of people really don't like Scentbird. And I think that they've changed their policies after I did my review of them, suggesting that people only buy their niche if they mess with the company at all. So I probably would avoid Scentbird at this point, but there are some good decanting service. There's My Fragrance Decant Boutique, and there's what is that called? Like myfragrancesamples.com. There's some good people out there doing decants. Dean, I'm glad you think that's funny. I don't know. What would I do if I got on here for 10 hours? What would I do? I probably get super tired and super hungry, and I wouldn't know what to talk about for 10 hours. Exactly. With a bigger collection, you're not going through the big bottles in ages. Yeah. You know, if you have more than 20 fragrances, you might have some of those fragrances forever. I know that I bought some of the big bottles, like the 6.4, 6.7 ounce bottles, and those aren't going anywhere anytime soon either. So, what's your scent of the day? I wore two Arabian oils from Airage Perfumes. One was called Black Oud, and one was called like Health Fit. I think it was. I think that's how you say it. So I just wore those today. I took it kind of easy. You know, with with go. I usually wear fragrance. I do wear fragrances for myself, but I tend to wear some of the easygoing, or maybe I just wear like one spray because I can still smell it. I usually actually don't go and put on like 10 sprays or anything crazy, especially with being indoors. So I've never worn oils. Never worn oils. I think oils are really fun for layering. I think that's what they're really good for. And also, if you want to be a little bit more subtle, like you want to have a skin scent, or if you want to be a little bit more safe with your fragrance, like in an office or on an airplane or something like that, I think they're a good way to go. Oils can last a really long time. That's a good thing as well. And they can kind of change up your fragrances. I love oils because you can really change up your fragrances. You can make them all pretty different and pretty unique, and have a different kind of combination. Switch things up a little bit. How often do you put fragrances on during the day? Honestly, the most two, but during this time when everybody's self isolating and all of that, probably I don't know. I'm not wearing fragrances as often. I usually just actually smell them. I usually just grab them from my room and grab them from my door, and that's what I tend to do. Yes, they last long but don't project well. Yep, that's what oils like to do. but it really depends on the day, or sometimes on the day with fragrances. In the summer, I usually tend to wear more fragrances because my fragrances are lighter, they're more citrusy, and actually, I'll probably reapply a fragrance or wear a different fragrance, kind of like halfway in between the day. If it's more of like a winter fragrance, it's something that's heavy and especially if it sticks to my jacket, if it sticks to my clothes, I'm definitely only wearing one fragrance for a day, and I might actually commit to wear that winter fragrance. So again, because my jacket smells like it, and I don't want to make a crazy chaotic smell on my jacket. So, anyways, any more thoughts? Any more questions? I probably should wrap this up. Do you ever go to spray your neck and half miss? I mean, I guess we all do from time to time. I need to make y'all that how to apply fragrances, but I do apply fragrances sometimes to the neck, but that's not really a good place to apply because it's so close to your nose, your neck to your nose. You're getting a really high concentration of it, and you're more likely to go nose blind. It's actually a lot better to spray like on your elbow. It's a lot better. I'll do a video about this, but it's a lot better to spray on your elbows, on your knees, or the back of your legs, and don't spray on your chest either. That's usually a really bad idea. Unless you really don't care about enjoying your fragrance, going nose blind and making the fragrance really push. But I like to spray fragrance on my shoulders sometimes as well. Once I sprayed right in my face by accident. I was glad I was wearing glasses. Yeah, it can definitely burn your eyes, especially because of the alcohol, and it can definitely taste terrible too. I only wear it on my clothing. Well, your skin can really change a fragrance. I think it would be fun for you if you've never worn your fragrances that you have on your skin. It might be fun to actually wear them on your skin and see if they change or see if they smell really good on you. Spraying fragrances on your clothes gives you better longevity, but they don't project as much. So it's all pros and cons. Some people really worry about damaging their clothes, especially if it's a dark fragrance with staining. But it all depends. Do what you want. Rock it. Wear what you love and wear your fragrance how you want to wear it too. So for me, inside the elbows is long lasting. Yeah, inside the elbows is definitely a really good way to go, and you'll definitely get to smell the fragrance um, throughout the day a little bit better and notice it. So always spray there for testing samples. That's really good advice. So spray all over your clothes. What if you're wearing a button-up shirt? Yeah, it that's the thing. It really depends on the fragrance. If there's any color to the fragrance, or if you're worried if you're wearing anything particularly expensive, I wouldn't risk it. If you spray the fragrance on your skin and you know it's dark, don't do it. It definitely will stain your clothes, and even some fragrances that are clear can leave kind of like those oil spots on your clothes. So I usually don't recommend spraying on clothes. But honestly, I kind of do a light misting on my clothes from time to time. If you do spray on your clothes, do it more of like a mist over yourself. Don't like, spray into your clothes or anything like that. But yeah, the elbows, inside the elbows. I'm doing a demonstration with a knife. Elbows, inside elbows. I like to do shoulders. That really gets good sillage when you're walking past people. When you're walking around people, that really gets you noticed. Spraying the back of your legs, your knees. That's also a really good way to go because the fragrance has to try to travel up in the air and, it kind of disperses that way. Imagine as the fragrance kind of drying up and going up in the air. If you spray it like on your head, the fragrance is going up. People aren't going to smell it that much. So try to spray it on your shoulders or like your knees. That's what I recommend most of the time. Uh, Let me see here. Dean says, "How many total? How many fragrances do I have?" I haven't counted recently, but I just did a really big haul. I need to do that haul video for you guys and gals, and I probably have close to 80 now. But I definitely am not the kind of guy. I don't have an intention to be a big collector and show off 200, 300, 400, 500 bottles like some of these guys do. I buy with intent, and I only keep fragrances around if I like them. I am not a collector, even though I do have more fragrances than I need. That's for sure. The skin absorbs perfumes like a drink. Yeah, mine tends to do that too. Certain notes like coffees, tobaccos, and leathers do really well on my skin. But if it's a citrus, my skin just eats citrus alive. So make sure your skin isn't too dry. That's what kills longevity for sure. You can also lotion up on your skin. You can use lotion. You can put oil on your skin. And that's a great thing too. If you have any like myrrh or frankincense oil or some of these your favorite oils, not only will they smell great and change up your skin, I meant change up the fragrance and make things interesting, but they also that's another way you'll get really good longevity is with an oil. So nose, no notes. Okay, yeah, for sure. So guys and gals, ladies and gents, I think I need to go. I think we're into the wee hours. I don't know where y'all live or where y'all are, but it's getting pretty late for me. So I appreciate all of you hanging out with me, having a good time, talking about fragrances, and I really do appreciate it. We had a great conversation tonight. I'll be on here tomorrow night about the same time, 6 p.m. Central Time, if y'all want to hang out with me again. Can you do some nice candle reviews? I want to, but I don't own a lot of candles. I'm sorry. I have to be honest. Fragrances already keep me on my tippy toes, and I already can't afford much of what I want. I definitely have not dived into luxury candles. I don't know when I will do that, but I've heard that Diptyque has amazing candles, and if you go on Lucky Scent, they have some really nice high-end candles. Some of them are $100 or even plus. So even candles can get more than $100. So hopefully I can do some of those reviews for you soon. I did do a brand. I think it was called like Four Crosses or Four something like that. And I did a review on his fragrances, and he's an indie guy who kind of makes fragrances and things out of his house. And if you want to give him your business, I got that. It was like coffee truffle crunch or something. It sounded like a dessert. It smelled beautiful. It smells like a dessert that I want to eat it. So see you another time, Ben. Keep it up. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Nose, No Notes. And he's a reviewer too. He's a fragrance reviewer. If y'all want to check him out, he's got a good channel going. Check him out. Give him some love. Anyways, my friends, I gotta go. I wish y'all the very best. We're creeping down to the loyal 5 people. If you're one of these 5 people here still watching me, you're one of the real ones. You're a big fragrance lover. Thank you for being here with me. Also, if you don't know, I'm very active on Instagram. I post all kinds of cool content. Centaur_fragrance. Search me up. Hopefully, I'll see you there soon on Instagram as well. And hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow night. Again, everybody, I upload just about every day. If you haven't hit that notification bell, if you're not subscribed, I mean, if you're still here watching, I mean, why? I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed, but if you're not doing those things, you definitely, are missing out on my content. So, Silent Night, thanks for the good night, Ben. Good night, everybody. Good all. I'll see you, my friends. Have a good one. Salute to you. I wish you the very best. Be safe, my friends. Be well. Definitely get some sunlight. Definitely keep your health up. Cook some good food for me. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one. And wear what you love. That's what this is all about. Finding fragrances you love and rocking them. So I'll see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.